Nice. Okay. And we're live. Here we go. It's working.
Boom. Live noises recorded forever.
Yep.
Till the sun wipes it out.
Right. Till the sun wipes it out, man. Yeah, the big EMP that will come, supposedly.
Yeah, man, I was thinking earlier about how, like, people ghost you now sometimes.
Yeah.
If you, like, you send a message, you give them a call. Like, lots of times if people are busy, they'll be like, fuck that, I'm not doing that right now.
Yeah, man, that's been a thing.
It used to be, like, I'm sure, like, that, you really couldn't hardly do that for the majority of human experience. It's kind of a new thing to ghost someone.
Yeah, and it's like as soon as we have the ability to do it, that's what we do. Like when Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, I'm sure it didn't occur to him that people could not answer the ringing bell. Or maybe did it?
Well, there wasn't a caller ID yet, so like if your phone rang, you better answer it. It could be anybody.
It could be anybody. Important? Well, if it's the president. You remember when that was a thing? What if the president calls? You know, that was a thing when I was a kid. People would say.
Nowadays, like people are like, I don't want to talk to him.
No, no matter who it is.
Yeah, it used to be like even if you didn't really like vote for the president or you didn't like him, like just he was like held in reverence. He was almost like our temporary king. Like everyone respected the president.
Right.
Last couple presidents, it's like I don't even know if I want to talk to the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get caught up in nothing either, you know, because you're taking sides, and all of a sudden you're getting doxxed, you're getting fired for your opinions, and you know what are you supposed to do then with yourself?
It's so ridiculous too, because I remember like in high school, I like trying to be kind of friends with everybody. Yeah, you got your close friends, but it was nice to have conversations with people that you didn't even necessarily like, and you sure as hell didn't agree with them.
Right.
It was so fun. And then as soon as like they got on your nerves, you just go talk to someone else. Now, I guess with like Twitter and stuff or like podcasts, if you have someone on your podcast, people are like, I can't believe you talked to him.
Right.
I think it's jealousy now though, because like when people see someone get a lot of views, they're like, well, I'm better than them. Why didn't I get all those views?
Yeah, resentment, but you know, it's not up to them. And you know, maybe it's not even up to the individual what they like. Just people like what they like, and I don't know why people gravitate millions of people to one channel rather than the other. I think you have to have like an average. You have to average out across a lot of people, and I think that's a hard thing to do. A lot of people are individuals, and they just do have their little bitty interests. And I'll tell you, these most popular YouTubers I see, they push themselves and are not being themselves, I don't think, and try very hard to average themselves out, average their channel out. Like I've said before, like they fill a whole pool full of little Orbeez or something and do just this wacky shit, just this gimmicky shit, and people are like, oh, I'm going to click that.
It drives me fucking insane watching YouTubers that target young children.
Yeah.
Because they always talk in this voice like everything's so exciting. They're so interested at all point in time. It's like no one can be that interested for an hour straight in anything. Even if you were talking about my lifelong mission, like 30 minutes in, man, I'm going to fade. I'm going to need a different topic. Like, unless you're on Adderall or something, but you can just tell it's a gig, it's fake, it's like capturing these 12-year-olds' attention.
Right.
Because anytime a human's interested in something, other humans get interested because they're like, ooh, what's so interesting?
Yeah. What is so interesting? But what is going on?
It seems like a lot of podcasters that are popular with older folks that are like outside of the teenage realm and target more adults. Seems like lots of them, they have actual interest. And it's almost like the more things that you're actually interested in, then the more people want to listen to you. Because a lot of people don't give a fuck about their daily life. Their life is boring. And they want to be interested in stuff, but they just don't have the gumption to find it.
Yeah, they're and also other things happen. They think, oh, this is a good idea. This is a good road for me to go down, and they get trapped in that road, or think they're trapped, and continue along on that road. You know, it reminds me of that Robert Frost poem, "The Road Not Taken." You gotta just if you I don't know what it is, like in Harry Potter they talk about the Quidditch games, and then you have this snitch, and you have all these other people playing the Quidditch game, not worried about the snitch except for two people, one person on each team. And you know, Harry Potter and Malfoy have to chase this golden snitch through the storm while everybody else is playing regular Quidditch. And I think that's the key. When you're walking through Robert Frost's metaphorical roads that you don't take, certain people get a little sense of like the wind blows in the right way and rustles the leaves on the trees, and you're like, I should take this road. And that's like the snitch. That's like you're chasing after that little magical thing you just got a intuition about, a feeling about, and you chase it, you trust it. It's your leap of faith. And some people don't do that. They want to take the road that's been paved, that has cobblestones on it, you know, that has markers on it. But other people, they don't want to take the road. Maybe they don't want to take a trail. Maybe they want to just climb up this tree and run up that rock and see what that is on the other side of that mountain. And then they find treasure or something, you know. But here's the thing. A lot of the times, like in the Harry Potter game of Quidditch, the people chasing the snitch just get tossed around in a bloody nose, and they don't get the snitch because
it's a dangerous game when you're chasing that magic.
Yeah. But if one person gets the snitch, it doesn't matter what happens. It's like a nuke goes off, and that team wins no matter what.
Boom, boom, boom. We got a winner.
Yeah, and it's the same thing if you chase that magical part in life. If you chase, I don't know, if you trust yourself, have those leaps of faith, you can hurt yourself, or if you keep trying, you can win the whole game. And then everybody will be like, oh, whoa, how'd that guy do that? And meanwhile, you're like, dude, everybody made fun of me the whole time. Like, where the fuck were you guys? What are you talking about? Fuck you guys.
And even though you get older and you die, at least you can look back and say, I held magic in my hands.
Yeah, you tried. You chased after the snitch. You lived your life to the fullest, as they say. Carpe diem and all that.
But that is one of the problems with the road less taken, is a lot of those roads probably lead to nowhere, lead to a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
There's a reason why a lot of people take that brick road.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. And some of those people are...
I think it works best when you find your own very specific road. Just because someone hasn't done it doesn't mean you should do it. There's a lot of things no one's done that no one should probably ever do.
Right.
And also, too, there's a lot of stuff like, you know, don't reinvent the wheel. It works pretty well. Even though people are reinventing the wheel, but...
Right.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, a lot of simple things that are obvious, like, if you cook a steak just right, it's a beautiful thing. There's no reason to try to fix something that isn't wrong. But there's other things, like, all right, you did these lot of things that people created and paid before you, but you're going to find a path that it's different. No one's done it. It's your thing. And then that's the thing that people are going to be like, why are you doing that? But if it makes you feel alive, you should probably keep doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Most people don't. They'll get a little taste of that road, and they'll get thrown off track, and eventually it's they get diverted back to the paved brick road, and that's where they stay.
Yeah, they get too complacent on what people have done in the past.
Yeah, it's a big problem if you start comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah, and just being comfortable using the inventions of the past when you never try to create anything yourself. So say there's a car. There's cars already. We can already get from point A to B without using our feet. What are the Wright brothers thinking? Why do we need to fly around like a bird? You're crazy. Well, you could fall. What if you died? Well, enough people.
Imagine the jokes going around them. They're like, these dummies from North Carolina, they're over here trying to fly in the air.
Yeah.
Everyone knows humans don't fly.
Right.
And then, like, when our first couple of airplanes crashed, they're like, we tried to tell them, stupid. They don't listen. No, they don't listen. They made something awesome.
Yeah, they made something awesome, and now everybody flies in a plane.
Not everyone. I don't think everyone's supposed to be creative. I don't think everyone's got it in them. I don't even think some people even desire it.
No, and we can't have. We've been talking about this for about a year now, and I think we're coming to some conclusions on some things that have mystified us. Particularly has mystified me is why can't everybody be an individual? Why can't everybody be creative? Why can't everybody be an artist or whatever? There would be nobody to make the paint for the artist to use. There would be nobody to stretch the canvas out.
Creative people need people who keep the machine running.
Yeah.
And the people that keep the machine running need creative people.
Yeah, to make them cool shit and to make their lives easier so they live longer and their kids live longer. And there seems to be a divorce between these two people. Like, we have to have a marriage between these creatives.
Yeah, we should celebrate each other. We should empower each other and be like, thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah. Not bust each other's balls, be like, oh, you're a loser artist, or oh, you're just a stupid worker, the wage slave, or whatever people will say to you. It's just all nasty vitriol, and we absolutely need to have each other to have a society, to have peace, to have food. You don't want to make fun of one side or the other, because then the truckers will stop bringing the food.
Yeah, there's a lot of smart accounting, engineering majors
that
are very good at just keeping things running at top notch, and they will never make anything new. But thank God these people help things run the way they do, because life's pretty great. I don't want it all to fall apart.
No, me either.
But at the same time, like, if something new comes out, if I think it's cool, I want to try it.
Right.
And the type of person that makes this new thing is most likely not the type of person that's going to, like, be over here at this factory making things are running properly.
No. But that's okay. We all gotta. Some guys got to sit around and design the factory.
I'm sorry, man. I can't let this go because you brought up Harry Potter earlier.
Yeah,
What's the lady that wrote all those books?
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, so they're having their 20-year reunion coming up, and she's not invited.
What?
And so this 20-year reunion, it's going to be pretty much all the actors. And these actors would not even have a career. We wouldn't even know their names. We wouldn't give a fuck about these people if it wasn't for her. And for them to all show up and denounce her, that is so disgusting to me.
Yeah, that's like not inviting Jesus to Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man? She literally created those characters in her head, walked around her fucking house talking to herself, imagining this world, and wrote it in a fucking book.
And then further than that, she even, like, helped create the movies. wrote a lot for the movies.
Yeah.
And she actually, initially, they were going to get like very popular American actors. And she was like, no. This is placed in England. We need English actors. And I love that because, she was trying to remain faithful to the book that she wrote. But I'm just saying, these actors would not have even had jobs if it wasn't for her being like, no, we need English actors. And now they're just going to show up pretending like they are millionaires now. Probably way more than millionaires. They have generational wealth because of her, and they're going to show up and probably just talk shit about her.
Yeah, dude. That's fucked up. What's the point of that shit? I just don't understand why you would want to even have the party, have the celebrate. What? That is really crazy. I'm glad you did bring that up because I'm having a hard time processing and understanding that.
It don't even make sense.
No, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Like the person that created everything that so many people love is not invited. And like, I don't think she said nothing like too egregious against transsexuals, or I think mainly what she was saying was like more of a feminist perspective, supporting women.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they did want to disagree with her, it's okay. You can have like opposing views and still like honor the person that like created something that we all love. It's basically blasphemy.
Yeah, it is. They're betraying their own god. She's the god of Harry Potter land.
I know she's just a person, but she like literally created these people's universes.
Yeah. It came from her mind. I don't understand that. I mean, if you really don't like her, then you have to get rid of her book too. You gotta get rid of her characters that you've tattooed on your fucking ass.
It's kind of like if she is so terrible that she shouldn't be invited, then why are we even having the reunion? Shouldn't we be throwing this book in the trash and the whole series?
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, the whole series. Yeah,
it's one of those things like the art is so good that like people can't throw it away.
Right.
They're like the creator's trash.
Right. So
they want to make a personal judgment, but at the same time they're like, "Damn, it's a good movie." All 7 of them.
Same with the Nazi medical experiments. We got a lot of data from them and the Japanese after World War II of like how they tortured people, but we got all of this advanced medical science from it. But nobody wants to talk about where it came from. Everybody wants to renounce Adolf Hitler and renounce what the Japanese Empire did with Unit 571 and all that other fucked up medical experiment shit. But we use their notes, their science that they got all their data we use today, and all of the fucked up shit they did with pregnant women and killing them and the babies, we use for prenatal health care now to help children be healthy. But we don't want to acknowledge where that information comes from. It comes from dead, tortured people. It's a similarity. I don't know why I made that. That's a big leap.
It's kind of a good point. I've always thought this discussion was interesting.
Yeah.
Of if the creation is so beautiful, but the creator is a terrible person. And I'm not saying she's a terrible person. I'm just saying sometimes it does happen. Like in the case of Hitler, I don't know if Michael Jackson touched them boys or not. I know his music's amazing, and I love several of his songs, but I also think that it's disgusting if he touched any child.
Right.
So, but clearly, like, his music still plays on the radio. Everyone loves his songs. No one's canceling Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing. Pedophilia is kind of widely accepted. That's another.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like you can use someone's creation. You can use their art. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to make sense of it now. So if I have an idea and I'm a bad person, but it's a good idea, it's a good idea. It doesn't matter that I'm a bad person. You can say that I'm a bad person, you don't like me, you don't want to hang out with me, that's fine. But don't, just because I came up with this new invention that makes everything better, don't pretend like that's bad too.
Right. Do you think that we need to separate the creator from the creation?
It's such a complicated question because in a certain way, it's impossible to separate them. Because you will always, if you hear a Michael Jackson song, you're going to think about Michael Jackson. So you can denounce him all you want, but if you listen to Beat It, I just think it's silly. There's no reason in denounce an idea or a creation if the person is bad. I understand I want to support the person, but which is, I feel weird making this argument because it almost feels like I'm saying that she shouldn't be invited to her 20-year reunion. But in this case, she's not a bad person to me. I think this is more of a political stance. This is more of a people pushing agendas.
Oh, yeah, totally. This is not about people being honestly outraged. It's about people enjoying the feeling of getting together and mobbing somebody. It feels good. It's like, oh, we're all this one big group and we're all going to smash you because we're all together. It's like they become a big monster together.
I think Daniel Radcliffe's worth over $100 million now.
Wow.
If someone helped me earn that much money, and she's pretty much I know he can act, but he would have not done anything close to that if it wasn't for her.
Right.
You think he would feel a certain allegiance, a certain amount of loyalty to her.
It's all about the money. And another thing, these people are like fish caught in a stream, and that stream is money. And they're not gonna swim against the current, man. They're gonna go with the flow with whatever everybody's telling them to say. I mean, I've thought about this in the context of kings. A king is not a free man. You know, they are under so many heavy obligations, and I think it's the same with movie stars. You know, a king could get their head cut off at any time. That's what made kings such an effective form of ruling. If people didn't like you, well, we know where you live. You live in the biggest house over there, the castle. We're coming there, and we're gonna cut your head off, and we're gonna put a new king in there, and he's gonna do what the people like, or else. And now you have the same thing happening with movie stars. If they don't toe the line, they don't say what the people want them to say, they lose their money. They don't lose their head, but they lose all their money and their drugs and hookers. So they definitely play ball. Now,
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I would imagine the freest man in the world has a ton of money and no one knows who he is.
Oh, yeah.
That's true freedom right there.
Having a good time somewhere.
Yeah, I heard an NFL player say, this guy, he grew up in Compton, terrible neighborhood. And he was like, I thought I was free when I was young. But once I retired from the NFL, I realized I had true freedom. Because now I'm rich and I have nothing to do.
Right.
It's I used to never have anything to do, but I didn't have any money. But he was like, whenever I was rich and I had nothing to do, which he admitted, he was like, I never felt more dangerous in my life. I felt like I was about to ruin my life on several occasions.
Shit.
Because everyone knows the saying that idle hands is the devil's playground.
Right.
But imagine empowering those idle hands with millions of dollars. That would be a very easy trap to fall into.
Oh yeah. You fall into things where you gotta have
and that's
such.
why generational wealth doesn't normally carry on like through several generations.
Right.
Normally, whoever inherits, whenever they're 20-year-old and they're bored and they have no wisdom, they blow it all on hookers and cocaine.
Right. How do you think you could break that type of cycle? Or do you think
good parenting? Good parenting is definitely would help. But the problem is, if you're busy making that amount of money, lots of times you're not even available as a parent because it takes a lot of time and energy to make that much money.
Why do you think we don't have stages in our lives anymore? I feel like people used to acknowledge that there are certain stages throughout their life, such as when you're young, you make a lot of money and you work really hard, and then you get older and you kind of dial it back a bit and you build your house and have a family, and then by the time your kids are old enough to help you do stuff all around, I mean, you have all this wealth and money built up that your life isn't as hard as it seems to be for people today, because there was like an acknowledgement, a plan. There was like, this much money is going to get me through this many years, and then my next phase, it seemed to me a lot more forethought or expectation of what's going to happen in your life. Now it seems you got your 9-to-5 job, and then bam, you're like 65 before you know it, and you're like, oh, what happened? There was no other events or plans, or I don't know. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
It makes sense, but I don't know if there's... I know there used to be a lot more rituals when it comes to a man becoming a man and leaving his tribe.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is would be like kind of a new ritual. I don't really know. I'm not aware of a ritual that once someone has accomplished things and now they're ready to bring it all together and tie it in a beautiful knot, start creating a family.
Well, like the Renaissance era people, like people in Italy, people in Spain, England. Say you're a young man. No woman gives a flying fuck about you because you're a young man. All these women, young women, the teenage chicks, they want some 30, 40-year-old man that has apprenticed under somebody, built something. Now they're ready to take a wife. As a man enters his 30s after he's went out into the world, proven himself, come back. That's what I'm.
You don't believe in that young Disney love?
Well, those Disney movies kind of are based off of what people really did for a long time. There's like these stages, like, okay, the man does this. Well, for a woman, she was accelerated because she could have kids when she's 13 or 14. So the women were married off around that age, but so the women had to be ready. 14 years old, ready to be an adult. You're an adult, baby. You're having kids. For a man, you weren't considered an adult until you were like 30. You just weren't. You were stupid. You're fucking passionate. You were probably into women, drinking too much, and everybody knew it. It was just accepted. Like, oh, you're still a child. But a woman is a woman when she's 14, and I just think that's an interesting dynamic for humanity in our past, and now we don't do that anymore.
I think the main reason we don't do that, and I'm a fan of capitalism. I think it has a lot of pros, but I think this is one of the major cons of capitalism. Is it's more about making as much money as you can before you die.
Yeah, not having quality.
So it's not like quality life experiences. It's not progressing as a human. The only progression that matters in capitalism is are you making more money than you did last year?
Yeah.
And that's a very hollow pursuit.
And another thing is, you're a man when you're 18, and you should have everything figured out, you dumb piece of shit, because you're 18, you're an adult. And in the past, in the Renaissance, everybody knew. They're like, you're stupid, you're 18, what the fuck do you know? You can't vote. Get the fuck out of here. You need to go learn something and come back and talk to me when you're old and know a thing or two. And
yeah, that's some wisdom that we've kind of lost. And like older people know it. Like if you're like 18, or even if you're like in your young 20s, like they'll tell you like you're stupid, you don't know anything yet.
Yeah.
You're so full of testosterone that you don't give a fuck. You don't listen to anyone.
No.
You keep making your mistakes like you should. That's how you learn.
Sure.
But in society, you're right. Especially in American society, it's all right. Well, what are you going to go to college for? What are you going to go in debt for?
Yeah.
What are you going to create? What are you going to make? What are you going to do?
And it wasn't like that before. Before, when you're 18, you go and you apprentice under somebody. You go live with another man, and you're basically his slave and do his shit work, and he teaches you shit for 10 years. And then after 10 years, when you're 30, or, your late 20s, maybe he's let you do a few projects, and you know something. And then this guy will be like, yeah, he's my apprentice. I'll vouch for him. And then that's how you got jobs. You dedicated yourself to something, and then you came back, had something to offer, had some money, some skill, and then you got a wife. And then you built up your money and your influence, and then you didn't have this shit to worry about. But now it seems like there's no rest period. But the men of the Renaissance, they had a rest period. It was their 40s. They were like, after their 30s, they mastered some shit. They created their own fucking thing, their art or whatever style. And then 40s, you're starting to get old. Your kids are getting grown up. You're starting to enjoy your influence that you have. And it's just not like that now. You're not enjoying shit when you're 40. You're fucking working harder. It's not easier. It's harder the older you get. And you're...
Yeah, in capitalism, like the more you learn, the more responsibility you're given.
Yeah.
And lots of times, the more hours you work.
Yeah. Not less. Like when you become a master artist or a master craftsman, you work less because you have people doing it for you. There's a progression to your life. It's not like you're just stupid and you're poor and you have to work harder and harder. The older people in the old world were respected because number one, you didn't die. And number two, you must be somewhat intelligent because you figured out how to keep yourself in a house and get yourself a wife and have some influence. Now,
I do think the younger generation now is like tired of this shit of like working all the time.
Yeah.
But the problem is they got it backwards because it's kind of like in your young 20s, you probably should work a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That way you can learn, you can make mistakes. And also, too, like where you know less, your work's probably going to be a little bit less valuable.
And you have a lot of energy. You're young and you got this aggression that you can blow off into a skill instead of fighting.
That's not even a man or a woman thing. Like a young woman, like you can ask her, she'll say she had a lot more energy in her 20s than she does in her 40s.
Yeah. Well, here's a whole other thing. When a woman in the olden days, like I said, they had kids when they were 14. Well, that meant by the time they're 30, they're freed up. Their kids are grown up. So then these women take on a whole other role that
they can be like a badass grandma that like gives knowledge to the village.
Yes. And help out with a whole lot of other things. But nowadays you have women getting into their 20s and they have no idea what is happening. They don't know. It's a both men and women are not doing their gender roles. And it's making everybody sick and crazy. Everybody's on, antidepressants and stuff. Everybody's, watching pornos and they're not having
gender roles have their place, but I support like individual freedom more than I do anything. That's one of my primary values. But I hate when modern society like hates on the woman. Like there's almost like a meme online that makes fun of the girl that is barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen. To me, like that sounds like a beautiful family. First of all, if your house is warm enough that you can be barefoot, that's good. Second of all, if you're pregnant, well, okay, maybe you want to start a family. And then if you're in the kitchen, what if you want to make some good food? Like, I'm sure I'll be in the kitchen a lot. I'm sure my wife will be in the kitchen a lot. It's just so dumb to, like, such a natural human thing to, like, hate on and pretend like that's a dumb decision.
Yeah, it's why you're here to even complain to the person. Someone had you. Um, it is a crazy conundrum. Like, where do people get off trying to tell other humans how they should live? Here's another thing: these barefoot and pregnant complainers. Why aren't they complaining to people in Africa about that? About all their starving children? Like, you need to quit having so many kids and being pregnant. Like, they're all starving. They don't have that attitude because they accept that those people won't have spaceships and cell phones. But in our spaceship cell phone society, you have a higher standard of living, quote unquote. You should not have your kids until you're 35 because it's bad for the environment. But they're not telling the people in Africa it's bad for the environment to have their kids. And then to get on the little commercials where, send the money to the starving kids. They're trying to not only feed the kids, they're not even giving them any shit for having them. And I think that's a fucked up double standard there.
Now, it makes a little bit of sense to me that, like, if you wanted to hate on the husband that refused to let his wife pursue a career or thought that her only value in life was to be a child bearer, I understand that point. That's pretty gross. It's going to cause resentment. You guys are going to get a divorce in 20 years, if not sooner. So I understand, like, the original frustration. So I think I can understand the meme from that point of view. But the meme's gone too far whenever the woman is given the choice and they both say, hey, do you want to have kids now or do you want to continue your career? And she says, no, I think I'm ready to have kids. It'd be awesome to have a family. And then she's portrayed as stupid. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't think people did that as much in the past. I really honestly think that is a propaganda. I think that men and women saw that they had different traits, and women for most of their teenage years were pregnant, and the reason they're barefoot is because their feet get swollen. It's just what's fucked up is they don't have a choice. I know they want to be like a man. I know they want to have a career. I know they want to be a king and tell people what to do and all this, but they just aren't equipped to do it. I mean, maybe I don't even think there's exceptions. Even with Joan of Arc, she's this, feminist character people bring up. Even Joan of Arc fought for the French king. She was not trying to be the king herself. She believed in the king, the male king being the leader, and died for him. So I just think that it sucks that women have to be pregnant, and it sucks that men are strong enough to go fight wars and die. And I don't think there's a way out of it. People are trying so hard to get a way out of it. Like, oh no, you can have a career as a woman, but no, you can't. Also, what I was going to say to connect this back to the Renaissance was after the women had their kids when they were 14 and their kids grow up and they're in their 30s now, that's when the women's career started. So still yet, man or woman, your adult life started in your 30s. So for a woman that's a teenager, she would marry a 30-year-old man, and then by the time he's 50, she can kind of have her own autonomy and do her own shit. She's had her kids. She kind of takes care of the house and does this stuff, but she's free to. It's not like a slavery for her whole life. The kids grow up. That's why the women had kids younger.
Yeah, they leave.
Yeah. And then the woman and the 50-year-old man. So the 30-year-old woman and the 50-year-old man have a happy little house. And so what's she do for the rest of her fucking life? Raise kids? Hell no. She does whatever she wants. And people don't talk about that. People don't realize that.
People don't talk about the aftermath.
No.
Of, like, if you had 3 kids and the last kid you had, you were 20, that means by the time you're 40, that's a grown ass person, and you're not taking care of kids anymore. You're living your life from 40 to 70 or however long you live.
Right. And it seems like the only focus is the youth, the like 15 to 35 is the time that all these politicians are trying to control, propagandize. But what about the rest of your life?
But the problem that comes up to me with this is I know women mature faster than men, but at the same time, like having a baby in your teens, even as a woman, like, yeah, you're not even smart enough to make that decision yet, it feels like.
Well, does it require intelligence?
Definitely. I think it requires intelligence to decide that this is the mate that you want to create with, that this is the life you want to pursue.
If that was the case, then women would have healthier babies when they're older. But the older a woman gets, the higher chance that the woman will die and the baby will be retarded. So, I mean, that doesn't track with how God made us or how evolution happened, the universe, whatever anybody wants to say. What tracks is as soon as a woman is able to have children and has them, she bounces back immediately. The baby is extremely healthy. She has hardly any risk to death. So life begs to differ with you and everybody else on that. And I hate to play devil's advocate on that, but it's worth pointing out what are we designed to do? We're not designed
evolutionary speaking, you're right. But in modern society, you can have a lot of healthy babies, like from 25 to 30 years old and up to 35. After you get past 35, it starts getting a little sketchy.
Right.
You start getting a lot more issues with the children.
But we also have to keep in mind of our lifespan, and women having children older, they're not.
Like it's taking the whole freedom away of the back end of your life.
Exactly, and not only that, say you do have more wisdom and you're older, but you have less energy. You are less relatable to children. In your 20s and 30s, you're less relatable and not having this kid shit. But if you're a teenager and you had kids, which I've seen teen moms, I mean, they're able to keep up with the kid. Now, they don't have the wisdom, as you say. However, that is what the older man is there for. And I'm just trying to say that this is a complete system. This is not... Everybody looks at it as the single mom. No, the young mom is not alone. She is there with an older, experienced 30-year-old man. That's just how people did things, and that completed that lack of wisdom. And people don't like that because they're like, oh, that's male wisdom, though. That's not the female wisdom. Well, no, there was older women around. There's families. There's these dynamics.
I think it's worked out well for a long time. The only thing that I don't like about it is that this woman's kind of like, it feels like she's thrust into this life before she has the knowledge to really know that's what she wants.
I see what you mean. I just think that women develop that faster than men.
But I agree with you. Biologically speaking, like, it probably doesn't work out the best that way. But also, too, I think that we don't have to have 6 or 7 kids now. Like, most of them's not going to die. It used to be to run your farm, you needed 6 or 7 kids, and you had to start young. Now you can carry on your bloodline just fine with 2 or 3 kids. So it almost works out better if you create this strong connection with a woman and you guys wait until you can financially sustain a family. And then in your 20s or 30s, you start popping out a couple.
Right.
But, yeah, like you said, it does. You got to watch that age creeping up. It takes away the back end of your life more.
Yeah. And not only that, the kids get a different upbringing. Is it a better one? Is it a worse? That's up for debate. I don't know about that. But I know
pros and cons. It depends on the parents. But I definitely see what you're saying. The older people get, the less childlike they are. No, I'm a kid. I feel like I'm excited for the new Spider-Man movie coming out. I feel like I'll be a kid for a long time. But a lot of people do lose that kid energy.
Yeah. I just think we went in some directions, romantic-wise, marriage-wise, and now we have stopped having families. Majority of people have, and we don't know how to go forward. I mean, everybody has their own individual solution, but like we were talking about, these people that walk the cobblestone road. I mean, the cobblestones are being blown up out of every corner. They're the common people don't have a normal route. If you get married and have kids, now it's expected that you're going to have a divorce. You're going to get your shit taken from you. You're going to get your house taken from you, man. You're going to have to visit your kids on the weekend, even if it's not your fault, even if you didn't do anything wrong. And this is a common...
I will always make that argument against what you said earlier. Because I feel like a lot of people that have children right out of high school, those are the most likely to end up in a divorce because they don't know each other yet. They don't... It's young, dumb love. They probably have good sex.
Well, yeah,
they don't even share the same values, and they...
Yeah,
if you give it a little bit of time, then you got like a more solid connection.
Or, if you didn't allow the divorce, there's no such thing as no fault divorce anymore. Like, if you locked people into the decisions that they say they're going to make, then people...
I don't like that. I've seen too many bad marriages that I wouldn't want to see anybody stuck in.
Yeah, I guess that's why we decided to let people do that. It kind of makes marriage not mean anything, though. You kind of get a big... and you get all your shit taken away, but in the same hand, the divorce has allowed a lot of women to overpower men.
So marriage now, it kind of means like whatever you make it. If it's something beautiful in between you and you want to declare this love for the other person and make it legal, then good for you. But as far as like a man getting married, you're basically just setting yourself up for the potential to lose like almost everything you worked for. And then as a woman, it's a very good safety net. But I think it goes back to, like, before you get married, make sure you got a solid foundation with this person. Make sure you got a good connection. Like, actually feel like you want to be together forever.
I don't think that helps anymore either, because I think since women have the upper hand, I think that's in the back of their head now. And I think it is definitely used in arguments, even in a house. Common arguments. It's a weapon, and I think that weapon just has to be taken away. I understand that there would be some bad marriages, but that all comes back to you have to make the right decision the first time, because this whole take-backsies shit that the game we're playing now has just ruined everything. It's ruined everything. People don't think twice about what they do, and for the people that don't, they're not cautious, they do get punished. That's the point. And I guess I don't have any sympathy for them. Because the whole thing will collapse. Otherwise, it's a sacrifice. It's one that we got too squeamish to continue to deal with. We felt too bad and wanted these minority of people stuck in a bad marriage to be able to be free. And now the majority of people abuse it. They abuse that out. Anyway, that's the point I wanted to make.
That's why marriage is scary now.
Yeah. That's why a lot of men don't do it. They don't do it. A lot of men don't want to have kids. They don't have sex with people. Everybody's having an online life.
So sad though. It's like men want to do it.
Oh yeah.
Like if they knew that it would work out. Like I think almost every man wants to get married to a loving woman, but they're scared of like if it don't work out, they know it's gonna hurt in more ways than just emotionally.
Well, it's not only that. If anybody has any smarts, you know that people change. And if they change and you don't have any safeguards against that woman changing, you're fucked. You know, you're fucked. They'll use it against you. I don't know what happens. I'm not a woman. I don't understand it, but I see it. And
well, I don't think it's a woman thing. I think it's a person thing. Because me and you both know a ton of men that would take as much as they could possibly take from you.
Well, yeah.
A clear example of this is Elon Musk's ex-wife. He made her sign a post-nuptial agreement right before he started Tesla so that she couldn't get Tesla funds. But at the time, the dude's still worth a ton of money, and I think she's worth around $10 million. But now she's trying to fight. She's going to court to try to get some of that Tesla money. So $10 million is not good enough for her.
No.
She's going to want some of that Tesla money.
It's not about that. It's about making him her bitch. And that's what I'm saying is that attitude has taken form in females because the government allows it. The legal system allows it. Before it didn't. Before, if you read ancient religions, they're terrified of women. We used to call them witches and burn them at the stake. And now we can see why. If women don't have some kind of controller, they're so chaotic and crazy and emotional, they run civilization into the fucking ground. And that's what they're doing. They're in charge right now. Female feelings. If I said faggot on TV, I mean, it would be shut down so fast my head would spin. You can't say these things because it hurts people's feelings, you know, and that's a feminine thing. Everything is very motherly now, and because they've taken over, they've been allowed to take over, and that's why I talk about Islam a lot. The Muslims, you look at the Muslim world, that has not fucking happened. That has not happened. And they have stable families over there. They have a stable family environment. And we don't.
I don't know if I would call them stable, man.
Oh, I would. Yeah, definitely. Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Iran. Yeah.
A lot of them are like hiding in their house, like scared of what happens if they like cross the government.
No.
It's stable in the fact that they're scared.
That's a few people. You know, that's a few countries over in the Middle East. But the Middle East is 2 billion people. That's more than all of America. America has 300 million people in its whole border. But the Muslims, they got like 1.52 billion people over there, man. And you know, they're all the way up into Kazakhstan, south of Russia. And a lot of these people have this male patriarchy that dominates the female. And the females have their place and the men have their place. And it's a lot like how ancient Christian societies operated, how ancient Italian and Spanish societies operated is preserved in this Middle Eastern culture. And everywhere else in the West has been hyper-feminized, where it's a matriarchy, where you listen to what here's a great example of exactly what I'm saying. You're at Lowe's or you're at the car dealership talking about getting a car. The first thing a husband will say is like, I gotta run it by the wife. Gotta ask my wife. I mean, that's just such a common thing. It's even a courtesy that people do. That's what I'm saying. That, I think, has been the mistake. I mean, it's fine to have a conversation and to kind of figure out where to plot your course, but to have everything needed to be checkmarked by your wife, in happy life, happy wife, all of these terms are modern.
Yeah, all that like disgusts me.
Well, it's what it is.
In my ideal relationship would be, I would want to talk to my wife about it, tell her what I wanted to do. And if she, like, made me look silly or poked holes in it and, like, actually, like, I had good counterpoints, I'd be like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
That's good.
I think it is someone that you can hold counsel with.
Yes.
And I think that's why you shouldn't get married just because you want someone, just because you're lonely. You should take marriage very seriously, because this is the person that you're going to hold counsel with.
Yes. And, you know, that's what these people, even with this patriarchy, that's exactly what they do. It's not like they're over there beating their wife with whips over in the Middle East. That's not what's happening. You know, they're sitting in there smoking their fucking hookah and talking about life, watching Netflix and shit. And getting input from their wives, from their children, from their family. Even in ancient Italy, you know, we were talking about Renaissance. You went to be an apprentice and you got your wife. People would listen to their wives and take their advice. They wouldn't publicly tell everybody that, but it's just a known thing that's what every man does. That's why you have a wife. You know, it's somebody that you have a relationship with. I watched this documentary on HBO called John Adams, and it showed his wife having a huge role in everything that happened with signing the Declaration of Independence. You know, he listened to his wife a lot. You know,
she was a badass lady, I bet.
Yeah, she had a lot of good points. She helped him with his lawyer business, and I know that has happened all throughout time. These feminists have come in here and said, men have never respected us. They've never let us do this. They've never let us do that, blah, blah, blah. They're missing what women were. I think we can
hold a proper bounce that's a better bounce in the Middle East that, like, allows for freedom and input from both sides. But as soon as you start leaning one way or the other, it all falls apart. Because me and you both know a ton of males that are just as emotional and egotistical as any woman we know, that are ready to fight the coolest guy at the party just because he feels like he's losing status. We don't want that guy to have all the power either.
Well, just
because you're a man doesn't mean you shouldn't be making all the decisions.
Right.
I think the smartest, most capable people, regardless of their female or male, should be making most of the decisions.
Well, that's how it was. You know, these people, if you didn't have a good job and you weren't like have a good skill or anything, you couldn't even get a wife and breed like that. And not only that, we have to remember who do these teenage girls, who decides who these teenage girls get married to? Their father. Their father filters out all of these people and picks the best one that thinks could give their daughter the best life. And that's a whole other thing we miss out on, is strong fathers having a say in their children's lives. That is not, it's like, oh, it's the individual. The individual is more important than whatever is good for the family. And I think that's another mistake we've made. We worship the individual too much, to where the individual now suffers seeking its individuality. There's nothing, like I said, the cobblestones are being flung out into the sky. There's not a basis of reality any longer. It's anything goes. And it's a confusing landscape for children. You know, what is what? Well, it's up to you. Figure it out. I don't know. You're an individual. Well, what the hell does that mean? I mean, these kids are going to be fucked up. They don't even know.
I do agree with you on a certain point there.
Because
even though, like, I have massive freedom values, I think freedom has been hijacked. And it's almost pushed to the point where instead of, like, going off the unbeaten path, it seems like it's its own path, but this whole unbeaten path, it's already paved for you.
Right.
So just because you got blue hair and you work at McDonald's, you feel like you're doing your own thing.
But
you feel like you're a special nut snowflake.
Yeah, but you're not.
But there's 500,000 people just like you.
Same blue hair.
And you're like, oh, I'm going against the establishment. Well, there's a reason why your Twitter feed has so many likes. It's because everyone agrees with you. And there's nothing unbeaten path about that. There's nothing individual about that.
No.
It's confusing, man, because I love family, but I love expressing my individuality. I guess like in a perfect way it would express itself is you do be your own person and you create your own family. And you meet up with someone who's also an individual and your values happen to align and you enjoy being with the person and you guys raise an awesome family. Because I don't want to deal with this girl's dad. If her dad's making all the decisions, the only reason she likes me is because her dad does, I'm probably going to lose attraction personally.
Well, I mean, once you marry her, it's not like that. You're the boss then. The dad just has to decide if you're going to be a good boss for her. It wasn't like a permanent deal. Like, you got to listen to this fucking guy forever.
But that raises a little bit more problems because, you know, he's going to choose the guy that's going down that beaten path. He's going to choose Mr. Safety. He's going to choose Mr. Obvious. If anything, he's going to want a cuck.
No, actually, that brings up a great point. I disagree, and here's why. The people that are creative, that are outside of the box, well, you got to remember, from 16 to 30, that guy worked on himself and went and talked to older dudes and made himself something. So all of the people that are creative already got filtered out through that process. So all the players that are afoot here in this situation, they're already successful. It's not like gonna be. It's these people already are. They have proven themselves, and now they have come. Yeah, and that's my whole entire point. Is there was a structure to our society, and now there's not, and people are fucking crazy now. And we're not inventing cool shit, and that's my point. We need some kind of structure. We need some kind of, all right, at this stage of my life, I'm going to do this. This stage, you're going to do that. I'm a man. My stages are different than a female's, and we can get somewhere together. We got somewhere together before doing that. We got to airplanes and steam engines and choo-choo trains by doing that, not anything else.
Though, whenever we have a structure, the problem is whoever decides the structure just holds all the power. So you're going to have a lot of people that are power hungry that are want to be like, no, we should do it like this.
Okay, right. And here's what I say to that. Let them have the power, because then that frees us up from that game to do other things in their shadow. Like the kings. Like the king didn't give a flying fuck what Leonardo da Vinci was doing. But Leonardo da Vinci got to enjoy the benefits of a kingdom by not having to worry about everything the king had to worry about. He lived underneath the shadow of society, and the buildings and the art and the fountains, all of that stuff. And now we can't live under any shadow. It's up to you. You're the individual. All up to you, man. It's put a incalculable burden on us. And, you know, Ayn Rand talked about that with Atlas Shrugged. Each of us is our own Atlas now. You know, we don't share any fucking burden or any load. Each of us takes on the whole world on our own shoulders. And it's impossible. We're all failing at it. We're not doing it. It's not happening. That's what I'm seeing anyway. That from my perspective.
A lot of these guys, though, I think Da Vinci had several death threats.
Yeah.
We know Galileo had his fucking obstacles.
Yeah, he wouldn't shut up about it, yeah.
But it's weird how that stability created like these beautiful ideas.
Yeah. These tyrants, these terrible
Whereas now
kings.
it's like so freelance and nothing matters, and like you would think that this would be the perfect breeding ground for ideals because everything's so open, but it's not playing out like that. It's like if there's not a structure to rebel against or to improve, then the ideals have nowhere to even start with.
Bingo. Yes. I think
So
that.
now it's also up in the air and random. It's like if nothing matters, then what's the point of even making it? But there's nothing to make better.
Right. And the only rebellion we have is to have a nice family and be nice to each other and have a straight homosexual, non-hetero.
That's hilarious. The rebellious thing to do is like a man bang a woman and make kids and be nice to them.
Yeah.
That's the true rebel these days.
Yeah. The true rebel is the teen moms. That is the truest rebel that our society has. I mean, they made a whole fucking TV show about it. Everybody loved that show, ate it up, followed those moms, watched them grow up into their 20s. Why did you do that? What made you do that? I don't know. I liked him, and we just kept going. And everybody's like, oh, tell me more. Let's watch some more. It is.
Yeah, that show was massively popular.
Yeah. With this soft guitar music, watching all these pregnant teens, it's just like, what the fuck was that? Very strange, but I think you've hit onto something. It's a rebellion to just be what God intended us to be.
Well, you even want to rebel against it anymore. It's like all the crazy rebellious stuff is normal now.
Yeah.
Like if I was gay, transsexual, blue hair, I had like a sex operation scheduled, everyone would probably be celebrating me. I bet I would get way more likes on Facebook.
Right. But if you have a kid and you show some baby pictures, people complain. Interesting inversion there.
You threw your career away for this? You were doing so good.
Yeah, how could you sacrifice the societal project for your own family? How selfish. What about your carbon footprint? They don't even realize that it's taken on religious overtones with their green deals and all of this shit. And they even have sacrifices too. They make their own sacrifices for the sake of science, sake of societal progression, or whatever they want to call it.
It's hard to tell how many times the world's watched us all fall apart, kill each other, and there's like 1,000 humans left, and the world's just there trucking on. It's like,
yep.
The world's like, you ain't gonna fuck up the ocean. You guys ain't even capable.
Y'all will forget about the ocean and then fucking fuck something else up that you can't fuck up even.
It is weird though, like, because people will be like, the Mother Earth, we gotta reach the Earth. And I understand, like, I don't want the rivers to be trashy. I'm not saying that. But I am saying, like, you're not gonna, it's almost impossible to fuck Earth up.
It's a big planet. It's a big planet with a whole lot of people and things on it.
Yeah, that lady's just gonna keep on spinning and keep on fixing stuff.
Yeah. Keep on figuring it out. While we discuss kingdoms and religions and family dynamics, all the animal kingdom seems to have it perfectly figured out. They've got their inputs and outputs in the correct orientation, and they're having children at a maximized capacity.
Well, one thing people don't know about Marvel is that Stan Lee, he actually addressed like all the different gods and stuff.
Yeah.
And he addresses the Greek gods, the Asgardians. He even addresses Christianity.
Really?
And he says whenever Christianity became popular, that's when the Greek gods disappeared from the world and went to their own realm. And a couple of them stayed. And that's the crazy stories that we have, like Hercules and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he says when we forgot about them gods, they just retreated because they weren't getting any more power. Because one of the most powerful things in the world is attention.
Yeah.
So we weren't giving them any more attention. They just left.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on that, actually. I think, they say, so, why didn't Jesus have sex and all that? Well, they say it's because, he's God in human form, in the flesh. And he didn't really need to have sex or do anything because, he created us. He already had the biggest sex you can have with the universe or whatever, however that works. There's a lot of
That'd be good sex.
That would be good sex. Like you come and the universe is created. Like, wow. You probably never need to come again. So he's good.
That's what physicists call the Big Bang, is whenever.
That's a big bang. It's a hell of a bang. Yeah, man.
The physicists were actually right, but they're just talking about God's sex with the earth.
Yeah, or whatever, the void. And I mean that's what I think about that. He wasn't here to party. He's trying to get us to party. Maybe he should have shown us, but then I guess we'd all be hippies then if he did have sex. He was already a hippie just without the sex. He was like peace and love and get a sword too, by the way. Don't be a little bitch and carry a sword around, but be cool with everybody. Try to be cool. But cut a bitch if they're fucking with you. And I can respect that. And but people have lost that message in the Bible too. I've been to a lot of churches and they say, Just
well,
be
the
cool.
majority of people you talk to, like, people don't really like reading that much.
Yeah.
And I understand because there's so much entertainment to consume now. Like, why would I read when I could go watch a movie with pictures that move?
Well, that's more natural. Watching movies is more natural. Reading is really unnatural. It's something we invented. But a movie, it's not. We're simulating something that's really happening. What is interesting about movies, though, is how they change scenes, how you see this guy's face, this side of his face, the other side of the face. Camera angles are a very strange psychological phenomenon because I've started to dream in, like, movie scenes. So who knows what movies have done to change our brain.
Yeah, I've definitely dreamed of movie scenes.
Yeah.
But part of me, that's kind of a chicken or the egg thing. Have we all, does our brain work in movie scenes? Like our memory and our dreams?
Ooh.
And that's why movies are so popular? Because it just kind of taking advantage of the way our brains already work? Or is that just the way our brains work now? Because me and you've probably seen 500 movies.
Yeah, no, I think it's unnatural, and here's why. Imagine if me and you are in person and we're talking, and then all of a sudden I just start inching closer and closer to your face. I mean, but what I'm doing honestly, is I'm doing a slow
zoom. That's kind of a new scene to me. Whatever we was doing before, I'm going to forget about. And this is a new scene to me. I'm going to be like, all right, this is what's happening now. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. And it's like I'm zooming in on you. And but it would be kind of it would be freaky, to me.
But at the same time, I'm thinking about it like this. Like if I walked into your house and there's a couple people there and we're all chilling, then I start like acting crazy and I start like screaming. Everyone is going to zoom in on me.
Yeah. They do. Or what if, every time somebody started talking, you had to get like a foot away from their face and then slowly shift angles as they're talking. It is unnatural. It's fucking weird, and it's not. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm telling you, I have dreams in movies. And you said you do too, and it's just I don't think people used to. You read poems and stories. You read Edgar Allan Poe and stuff. They didn't have movies. That dude was not having movie scenes. He was fucking.
But at the same time, like it's a different scene. It's a different. He'll talk about how he was feeling in this environment, and the next thing you know, it's like a cut jump.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I was doing this.
You know what's interesting is watching silent movies. I do that. A lot of people can't stand to watch old black and white movies, or let alone a silent movie. But what's interesting about them is they're so psychedelic in the scenes, the way they're cut.
Well, supposedly there's this frequency.
They had no idea what they were doing.
A lot of scary movies like take advantage of that just like puts you on edge and makes your hair stand up. I can't remember the specific hertz that it uses, but it's super common in scary movies. And if you play this like certain hertz, it makes everyone like get uncomfortable and get a little bit of anxiety. And that's why like a lot of scary movies, right before something scary happens, like you'll hear that music. And lots of times it'll be in that, they're all in like a very similar tone. It's like very off-putting, and it makes you be like, oh fuck, what's about to happen? You get scared before that. And if you turn it on mute and you watch it, it's not scary at all.
Yeah,
but whenever you hear that hurts, it's like, oh.
Yeah, they use bass sounds.
Which I agree with you on that part. That's definitely unnatural. Before something bad happened in the past, not like we heard.
Do what, man? You cut out. I can't hear you.
Or like psychology.
You cut out there for a second. Repeat what you just said.
So that's definitely unnatural, like what you were saying. Before someone does something bad, it's not like we hear. It's not like we hear like scary music.
Right. Yeah. Let's do this little thought experiment. This is interesting. I've thought about this myself, but never talked to anybody about this out loud. What would it be like to make a movie showing what it's like to be a person? Like showing what the feelings and sensations are of your thoughts and how it pulls you in one way or another, or the images that come across your head for just a second. Like, so a way that I thought about simplifying it is you have a person and then you have a little bubble inside of their forehead, and just all this stuff just keeps popping up. And then you have all these other things trying to get into their head. And I just started to realize how fucking complicated it would be. It would be extremely complicated to try to portray the
just show in like one day.
Yeah.
Like you probably don't even have enough time to like make them. It would be like a 10-hour movie just showing like one day of my thoughts.
Right. Of them playing out, how much time it takes for it to play out. But for me, like 5 seconds went by, but I thought about 10 different things, and a little movie played in my head of how that would go. And it would take me an hour, though, of real time to show. Yeah, it dilates time. Your brain dilates time and comes up with concepts very quickly. There's an interesting story called The Neverending Story. They made a good 80s movie about it, but it's also a very good German book. And what that book is about, I think, is the closest thing that I've read anyway, that kind of gets at what we're talking about here, showing what it's like. What happens is, as the boy reads the book, it writes itself. And so he gets to this part where he's encountering, like the swamp of sadness, the spider web, the spider up in the mountain. He encounters the luck dragon. He encounters, these singing crystals. He encounters all these problems that he has to solve. He gets into this place where it's a mine, like a coal mine or something, but instead of coal or diamonds, it's pictures and memories. So he's like he's digging around in his subconscious, and there's like Alice in Wonderland does this as well. But my point is that movies have kind of hijacked the way that we used to think about things, and the relationship that we used to have with ourselves, I think. And I don't know whether or not I have a more advanced way of thinking than people before, or a streamlined way of thinking. What do you think it's done to our brains?
That's a wild question. I think it's overall bad. I think it's made us more hyper-focused on the things that we find the most entertaining instead of valuing just the natural flow of life. Because it used to be, like, let's say we all went on a hunt and we killed something, then everything would slow down, and you just got to be with yourself. You got to be comfortable with yourself. Sometimes you would, especially in the past, before social media and stuff, people just sat there by them fucking selves, sometimes for a couple hours. And now where it's all jump cut, constant entertainment, it's really fucked up our dopamine systems, and we've got this weird expectation that we're always supposed to be entertained instead of just being a natural human in our environment and experiencing life. I look at it like some people that like do a lot of psychedelics and stuff, they'll say there's no such thing as a bad trip, because even when things do get bad, you're supposed to just dive into it and experience it. And that's part of the trip. It's not good or bad, you just experience it. And I think now with movies, we classify everything as like good or bad or entertaining or boring. And it used to be people just lived life as it came. You kind of dealt with the cards you were given. And now, if you're not given the perfect cards, people immediately get pissed off. And they're like, these cards suck. I'm not playing this. So, yeah, I think it's really held us back as far as being natural humans on the earth. Letting that natural flow of consciousness come through us. Instead of letting our natural consciousness flow through us, I think we're wanting someone else to perpetually entertain our brains.
Yeah, we're playing a dangerous game. I mean, people used to burn people at the stake for less than all the manipulation we're experiencing with one billboard. And we seem to have outsourced our critical thinking to these people. But as I have been learning on my journey, especially this past year, talking to you and a lot of other people, just like where's all the individuals? Where's all the creative people? Why aren't they in charge? This cobblestone road we just can't get around. People never have been in the majority that are an individual. And they probably can't.
You can't, because the highly creative people, they have the tendency to want to tear everything down.
Yeah. So and
that's where a lot of new good things come from. But if you tear everything down, we got a lot of good stuff going.
Right.
A lot of these people thrive in chaos, and they enjoy it. But the masses don't want chaos.
No.
And that's understandable.
Yeah, because it you gotta get down the road, man.
Yeah, it's nice to take a nice Sunday drive.
Yeah, dude. For who? Just them? No. For everybody, including the individuals. And that's what, I think that's what us individuals need to chill the fuck out about, myself included, is that we're never going to have 5 million subscribers. People, unless you average yourself out. Like what Joe Rogan did, he averaged himself out. That dude, who he really is, probably is fucking annoyed with most of the people that came on his show. But he did it for the views. He did it because other people are interested. He didn't do it because he was maybe particularly interested. But he's like, this person is pretty big in the zeitgeist, in the society, the culture. Let's have him on. Let's see what goes on. And then he learns a thing or two by being that way. But I could see a few times on Joe Rogan's show, people would piss him off. and he just didn't talk to them. He just was not engaged. They were just kind of there. You know what I mean? And it was like a job. But by doing that, he hustled all these extra views, all these extra clicks. Got all these different individual groups, these little pools, these little subcultures. And he looped them all into one giant Joe Rogan kingdom is what he did. And then he moved to Spotify and took millions of dollars.
I agree.
It's fucking
He's
winning.
An entertainer. He's a personality.
Yeah. It's his job. It's his job. But, a lot of people, it's not their job to do that. They just want to be the individual, Or they want to be...
Would I love to have a lot of money? Yes. But also, part of me is glad that I don't sell my conversations, because I love being able to talk to people like you and not have to worry about whether I get views or not.
Me too, man. Yeah. It's a lot better that way, because then you don't have to worry about where to steer this thing or that conversation. Just whatever grows through the conversation and the people is gold, man. That's the treasure. And I think that's what people are after. People are after specific things. And you don't resonate with everybody. People, unless you force yourself to. Unless you get, fake. Unless you really put up with a lot of shit that you might not want to really tolerate.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do it. And I'll end it on that, man.
Yeah, me too, man. Okay, let me end this live stream.